correct table to use for 200 degrees Celsius silicone rubber insulated mineral insulated cable, often shortened to SRML, is Table 310.19 in the National Electrical Code. This table provides ampacity ratings for conductors rated at 200 degrees Celsius, encompassing SRML cables. When considering the ampacity of a conductor, it's crucial to account for the temperature ratings of both the conductor itself and its termination points. In this scenario, SRML cable boasts a temperature rating of 200 degrees Celsius, yet the compression fittings are rated for only 90 degrees Celsius. Consequently, the cable's ampacity becomes limited by the lower temperature rating of the fittings, not by the cable's inherent capacity. The temperature rating of compression fittings hinges on the conductor's insulation type. For instance, fittings with polyvinyl chloride, or PVC, insulation are typically rated for 90 degrees Celsius, while those employing cross-linked polyethylene, or XLPE, insulation reach 105 degrees Celsius. It's important to note that these figures generally apply to industrial settings. Residential applications usually cap compression fitting temperature ratings at 90 degrees Celsius. The Dossert ground clamp lacks a specified temperature rating. However, its copper-bronze composition, which has a melting point of 1083 degrees Celsius, or 1981 degrees Fahrenheit, suggests a tolerance for temperatures exceeding 90 degrees Celsius. Given this information, a recommended approach involves using 2/0 SRML cable alongside compression fittings rated for at least 105 degrees Celsius. This pairing ensures that the cable's ampacity isn't hindered by the fitting's temperature limitations. Furthermore, it's vital to ascertain the temperature rating of the heater connection. Should this connection fall short of the 105 degrees Celsius threshold, replacing it with a higher temperature rated alternative becomes necessary. Always consult with the equipment manufacturer and local building codes for specific requirements and recommendations to ensure compliance and safety. Remember that the National Electrical Code, or NEC, provides guidelines for safe electrical installations. Consulting the NEC is paramount for ensuring adherence to industry standards and regulatory requirements. The selection of appropriate conductors, terminations, and overcurrent protection devices must align with the specific application and prevailing environmental conditions. Attention to detail and compliance with established codes and standards are essential for maintaining safety and operational integrity. Ampacity refers to the current carrying capacity of a conductor. It's the maximum current, in amps, that a conductor can carry continuously under specified conditions without exceeding its temperature rating. Several factors influence ampacity, including conductor size, insulation type, ambient temperature, and the number of conductors bundled together. National Electrical Code Table 310.16 provides ampacity values for various conductor types and sizes under specific conditions, typically assuming an ambient temperature of 30 degrees Celsius and no more than 3 current carrying conductors in a raceway or cable. However, adjustments to these values become necessary when the actual operating conditions deviate from these assumptions. Temperature correction factors come into play when the ambient temperature exceeds 30 degrees Celsius. As the ambient temperature rises, the conductor's ability to dissipate heat diminishes, necessitating a reduction in its allowable ampacity to prevent overheating and insulation degradation. These correction factors are outlined in the National Electrical Code Table 310.16. For example, if the ambient temperature is 50 degrees Celsius, a correction factor might reduce the ampacity of a 90 degrees Celsius rated conductor by a certain percentage. Similarly, dirting factors apply when multiple current carrying conductors are grouped together in a raceway, cable, or bundle. The heat generated by each conductor contributes to an overall increase in temperature, necessitating a reduction in the ampacity of each conductor to prevent overheating. National Electrical Code Table 310.15 B3 provides adjustment factors for varying numbers of current carrying conductors. For instance, if there are 7 to 9 current carrying conductors in a raceway, the ampacity of each conductor might need to be reduced to 70% of its values listed in National Electrical Code Table 310.16. These correction and dirting factors are multiplicative. This means that if both temperature and bundling adjustments are required, the ampacity must be adjusted for both factors. For example, consider a 2/0 copper conductor with a 90 degrees Celsius insulation rating, carrying a load in an ambient temperature of 50 degrees Celsius, and bundled with 8 other current-carrying conductors. The initial ampacity from National Electrical Code Table 310.16 might be 175 amps. However, after applying the temperature correction factor, the ampacity could drop to 150 amps. Further application of the bundling directing factor could reduce it to 105 amps, illustrating the significant impact of these adjustments. Terminations, such as lugs and connectors, also have temperature ratings that must be considered. These ratings indicate the maximum temperature that the termination can withstand without degrading its performance or causing a safety hazard. Terminations are typically rated for 60 degrees Celsius, 75 degrees Celsius, or 90 degrees Celsius. It's imperative to select terminations with temperature ratings that meet or exceed the temperature rating of the connected conductors. If a 90 degrees Celsius rated conductor is connected to a 75 degrees Celsius rated termination, the conductor's ampacity must be based on the 75 degrees Celsius rating, as the termination becomes the limiting factor. Voltage drop is another critical consideration in electrical installations. Voltage drop refers to the reduction in voltage that occurs along a conductor due to its impedance. Excessive voltage drop can lead to equipment malfunction, reduced efficiency, and potential safety hazards. The National Electrical Code recommends limiting voltage drop to no more than 5% for feeders and branch circuits. To mitigate voltage drop, conductors must be sized appropriately. Factors such as conductor length, load current, and conductor material influence voltage drop. Longer conductors and higher currents result in greater voltage drop. Increasing the conductor size reduces its resistance and consequently lowers voltage drop. Calculating voltage drop involves using Ohm's law, which states that voltage drop is equal to the current multiplied by the resistance of the conductor. Online voltage drop calculators and software tools can simplify this process. Overcurrent protection is essential for safeguarding electrical systems and preventing damage from overloads and short circuits. Overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers and fuses, are designed to interrupt the flow of current when it exceeds a predetermined level. The size of the overcurrent protection device must be carefully selected to protect the conductors and equipment it serves. The National Electrical Code provides guidelines for determining the appropriate size of overcurrent protection devices based on the ampacity of the conductors and the characteristics of the connected load. For example, a 20 amp circuit typically requires a 20 amp circuit breaker or fuse. However, adjustments may be necessary based on specific equipment requirements and motor starting currents. Short circuit current rating, often abbreviated as SCCR, is the maximum fault current that a component or assembly can safely withstand without sustaining damage. It's crucial to ensure that all components in an electrical system have SCCRs that meet or exceed the available fault current at their location. This prevents equipment failure and potential safety hazards during short circuit events. Determining the available fault current involves conducting a short circuit study, which analyzes the electrical system to calculate the maximum current that could flow during a short circuit. This analysis takes into account factors such as transformer impedance, conductor impedance, and utility source impedance. Grounding is another fundamental aspect of electrical safety. Grounding provides a low impedance path for fault currents to flow back to the source, facilitating the operation of overcurrent protection devices and minimizing the risk of electric shock. Electrical systems are typically grounded by connecting the neutral conductor to earth at the service entrance. Equipment grounding conductors are used to connect the non-current carrying metal parts of electrical equipment to the grounding system. This ensures that if a fault occurs, the fault current will flow back to the source through the grounding system, tripping the overcurrent protection device and energizing the equipment. Bonding is the process of connecting all metal parts of an electrical system together to create a continuous electrical path. Bonding reduces the risk of voltage differences between metal parts, which could create a shock hazard. Bonding is typically achieved by using bonding jumpers to connect metal enclosures, raceways, and equipment together. Surge protection is designed to protect electrical equipment from voltage surges, which are transient over voltages that can damage sensitive electronic components. Voltage surges can originate from various sources, including lightning strikes, utility switching, and internal equipment operation. Surge protection devices, or SPDs, are installed in electrical systems to divert surge currents away from protected equipment. SPD are available in various types, including surge arresters, surge suppressors, and transient voltage surge suppressors, or TVSS. Electrical safety is of paramount importance in all electrical work. It's essential to follow safe work practices and adhere to all applicable codes and standards. Before commencing any electrical work, it's crucial to de-energize the circuit and verify that it is indeed de-energized using appropriate testing equipment. Personal protective equipment, or PPE, such as insulated gloves, safety glasses, and arc-rated clothing, should be worn to protect against electrical hazards. Only qualified and trained personnel should perform electrical work. Regular inspections and maintenance of electrical systems are essential for identifying and addressing potential safety hazards. Arc flash is a dangerous phenomenon that can occur during electrical faults. An arc flash is a sudden release of electrical energy that can cause severe burns, injuries, and even death. Arc flash hazards can be mitigated by implementing appropriate safety measures such as wearing arc-rated clothing, using insulated tools, and maintaining safe working distances. An arc flash risk assessment should be conducted to determine the potential arc flash hazards in an electrical system. This assessment takes into account factors such as voltage levels, fault current levels, and equipment configurations. Lockout/tagout procedures are essential for preventing accidental energization of equipment during maintenance and repair work. Lockout/tagout involves disconnecting the equipment from its power source and applying locks and tags to prevent it from being inadvertently turned on. Training on lockout/tagout procedures is crucial for ensuring that workers understand how to safely de-energize and isolate equipment. Electrical drawings, also known as electrical schematics or wiring diagrams, are graphical representations of electrical systems. Electrical drawings provide detailed information about the components, wiring, and connections in an electrical system. Electrical drawings are used for designing, installing, troubleshooting, and maintaining electrical systems. Understanding electrical drawings is essential for anyone working with electrical systems. Electrical testing equipment is used to verify the safety and performance of electrical systems. Common electrical testing equipment includes multimeters, clamp-on ammeters, insulation resistance testers, and ground resistance testers. Multimeters are used to measure voltage, current, and resistance. Clamp-on ammeters are used to measure current without disconnecting the circuit. Insulation resistance testers, also known as megometers, are used to measure the insulation resistance of conductors and equipment. Ground resistance testers are used to measure the resistance of the grounding system. Proper use of electrical testing equipment is essential for ensuring accurate and reliable results. National Electrical Code Article 110.3 provides requirements for the examination, identification, installation, and use of electrical equipment. This article emphasizes the importance of using equipment that is listed or labeled by a recognized testing laboratory. Equipment must be installed and used in accordance with its listing and labeling instructions. National Electrical Code Article 250 covers grounding and bonding requirements. This article provides detailed requirements for grounding electrical systems and equipment to ensure safety and minimize the risk of electric shock. National Electrical Code Article 300 provides general requirements for wiring methods and materials. This article covers topics such as conductor sizing, raceway fill, and protection against physical damage. National Electrical Code Article 310 covers conductors for general wiring. This article provides ampacity tables and adjustment factors for various conductor types and sizes. National Electrical Code Article 400 covers flexible cords and cables. This article provides requirements for the use of flexible cords and cables, including restrictions on their use in certain applications. National Electrical Code Article 430 covers motors, motor circuits, and controllers. This article provides detailed requirements for the installation and protection of motors and motor circuits. National Electrical Code Article 440 covers air conditioning and refrigeration equipment. This article provides specific requirements for the installation and protection of air conditioning and refrigeration equipment. National Electrical Code Article 450 covers transformers. This article provides requirements for the installation and protection of transformers, including overcurrent protection and grounding requirements. National Electrical Code Article 500 through 516 covers hazardous locations. These articles provide specific requirements for electrical equipment and wiring in locations where flammable gases, vapors, or dust may be present. Understanding these requirements is crucial for ensuring safety in hazardous locations. National Electrical Code Article 600 covers electric signs and outline lighting. This article provides requirements for the installation and wiring of electric signs and outline lighting systems. National Electrical Code Article 620 covers elevators, dumbwaiters, escalators, moving walks, wheelchair lifts, and stairway chair lifts. This article provides specific requirements for the electrical installation of these types of equipment. National Electrical Code Article 680 covers swimming pools, fountains, and similar installations. This article provides detailed requirements for the electrical safety of swimming pools, fountains, and similar installations, including bonding, grounding, and ground fault circuit interrupter protection. Always consult with a qualified electrical professional for assistance with electrical installations and repairs. Working with electricity can be dangerous, and it's essential to take all necessary precautions to ensure safety. Never attempt to perform electrical work unless you are properly trained and qualified.